you're asking, do I think that the aesthetic orientation or the performance orientation would have to change if we understand the limitations that we're working with, instead of young people making the sacrifice of their health at an early age in order to accomplish things which eventually destroy their bodies. Wouldn't we have to accept that performance standards would have to lower, or that aesthetics would have to change to include the long-term health of the bodies that are doing these things? Well, I mean, that's an open question. Do we have to necessarily give up on someone doing 30 turns on their heads? Do we have to give up on people throwing their legs up to 180 degrees? I'm not sure we have to give up on that. Maybe there's a way we can accomplish those things without causing serious injury or without people getting seriously injured. Why not open the discussion on it? That's the thing. I feel like there's still a resistance to accepting technologies or methods which could still allow people to do those things but not get so seriously hurt. I think it would be unfair to tell young people that they shouldn't take risks, to limit them, because I think that's everyone's right. But I think it's a crime to not inform them of the risks. Actually, to tell them things which are contrary and misleading, and actually, or even dishonest about the risks they're taking. So this is where I feel like it's a social duty to inform people, to inform them as accurately as you can, based on the knowledge that at hand about what risks they might run when they do these things. You don't take an 8-year-old and break their ligaments, by overstretching them. That I think is barbarous. I don't think that as a society we can allow that to happen anymore. We've gotten to a point where you need a license to go fishing. But you can stretch a child's legs over 2 benches and push them down, while they're screaming in pain. I'm sorry, but I don't think that we have to accept that. And I don't see why young children should be tortured, and I think they are being tortured for the pleasure of the audience. That's something that we can now make that obsolete. It doesn't. The understanding of what dignity and the sovereignty that a human being should have over their own body, and the social understanding of what human rights are, can't allow for that anymore. We've gotten past that. So, understanding that that's not an option anymore, let's see if we can't still achieve these amazing effects without that kind of abuse. So young children in the ghetto, they might not have somebody twisting them in all directions, but they're still that's still their model. They're looking up to this, and you can see how breakdance has actually organized itself along the same lines. It's really become very formalized, and you're not allowed to innovate. And there's certain moves that have to be respected, and so on and so forth. You have to demonstrate that you can do these things before you're accepted into that community. And I think that that's something that could be, those models could be, made more porous, and information could be shared more rapidly, and people could just benefit from the scientific basis. The scientific basis would allow for an orientation for all of these things, so that misunderstandings could be corrected. Like I said, understanding the way the spine functions I can now help somebody to learn how to stand on their hands within a week, or walk on their hands within a week, or pick up somebody that might be actually heavier than them within the space of a day. So these are things where you see the augmentation of skill and capacity through scientific application, rather than the lowering of capacity or skill. If you understand something about momentum and the conservation of energy, then it should help you to turn more times if you want to turn, right? It's not the body shape necessarily that's going to determine whether you can turn more times. It's the shape and the understanding of the conservation of energy which is going to allow you to turn more times. And this is where science is in itself is not in opposition to performance. It should help us, right? It should support that. We could see with every technological advance that expanding vision range, channeling fire, working with disease prevention, et cetera, all these things that have allowed us to move farther, to move faster. Why not accept technologies for moving better that would support us in doing more? I don't see a contradiction.